Shalom, brothers and sisters in Yahweh. I have another dream for you. I had it at around about 5 a.m. on the 25th of the 4th, 2024. It is called Don't Open the Doors. I'm going to read it off my little book here so I can get it right for you all. I was at a friend's house. My friend's house was a big shed that had been converted into a home. They had a large property, and for some reason, on this day, they had lots of people over visiting. I was outside. Sorry guys, my son just came up to get a drink. Okay, so where was I? I was visiting as well. I was outside and I looked toward their front gate, and up in the sky I saw a dark, black, thick something. I didn't know what to call it. Just dark blackness. It seemed to ooze like honey across a section of the sky. It was very strange. As it oozed, it opened. It was almost like it opened a portal. And I watched as two large cubes, black cubes, fell out of the ooze, out of the portal ooze. Now these cubes would have been probably about the height of 3 of our tallest buildings. The building in Dubai, probably 3 of those and standing high. That would have been about the height of these cubes. There was 2 of them that fell out. And they fell out onto the ground below, which was hilly, paddocky area. I yelled, "It's the darkness. We have to get the windows covered and get inside." My friend understood immediately, and everyone got to work. I went to help get the animals locked up and prepared with tarps over them and covering up their pens and trailers. It was dimming very quickly, and my children immediately came into my mind. Don't know why I hadn't thought about them before that, but they immediately came into my mind at that point in my dream. I thought I could get my car and I could go out the gate and I could just go down the road. I was their neighbor in this dream. I'm not in reality, but I was their neighbor in this dream. I was maybe 5 minutes down the road. And I thought if I could get in my car and I could drive down the road, I could get to my boys. I stood thinking and worrying. If I drove, I would have to drive toward the black ooze to get home. The Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, said strongly to me, "Wait." I looked worriedly toward my house across the bushland. And in a matter of seconds, one of my sons appeared, running towards me. He ran into my arms, hugging me and telling me my other son was just behind him. We waited for moments and my second son appeared. We went into the house and we went into the bedroom on the left side of the back door. I covered up the windows and I got myself and the boys into the large bed in the room. I stroked one of my young boy's hair when I noticed that one of the coverings was falling. I got out of the bed and unintentionally I looked out of the window as I covered it up again. Outside was very dark. I knew it was. But yet in this dream, Yahweh was allowing me to see in the darkness. I could see across the paddock toward the black ooze that seemed to have now enveloped most of the horizon. Dark figures were moving like an army coming toward the house. Everyone in the house was spread out, some in bedrooms, some in hallways, others, most of them, in the living room, and some in the kitchen. Some were standing, but most were sitting with their backs against the wall, praying. There were a number of small children in the house, and as I pulled the window covering, I heard a small child say something. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't discern what it was, but it was like as I was in the house, I could see in the spirit. I could see where the child was, and I could see where every other person was in the house. I knew immediately they were heading for the door. I hurried out of the room and to the front door just in time to pull it back shut from the inch that the child had opened it. I comforted the child and insisted that they go and sit back down and pray. I then prayed. It was moments before the demons got there. I prayed for grace and for protection. Thank Yah that it was moments before the demons were there, the fallen ones were there at the property. I was right. I hadn't long got back to the room with my boys when I felt the heaviness of the demons in the area around us. I knew everyone in the house was praying, including me, as I moved around, but it was as if there was an eerie silence. Then came the faint whispers. There were no close neighbours at this time on this property, so we couldn't hear any screams of any unbelievers who hadn't covered their windows or prepared themselves. Anybody had been trapped outside in the darkness. There was no screams, there was just silence and the whispers. I suddenly heard hurried footsteps, and it took me a moment to understand what was happening as I heard the back door unlock, and the click of the door latch. Even though I could see, I was still seeing in the spirit. It happened so quickly that it didn't kick in until I heard it. I moved quickly to the doorway of the bedroom. In those short seconds, a fallen angel was standing in the hallway, staring dangerously at the woman who had opened the door. She had hurried backwards out of the hallway, out away from the back door, and she was standing in the living room, and he was staring at her. The door was still wide open. He was less than a meter away from me. He was huge. He must have been about 2 to 3 inches away from hitting the ceiling with his head. His muscular shoulders would have been at least 1 meter wide, and his chiseled jaw and cheek line were absolutely impeccable. He was a beautiful being. He had golden brown shoulder length hair that waved perfectly. His chest was bare and his skin was tanned. He wore an Egyptian, I'm going to probably butcher this word, shendit, which is the skirt that the ancient Egyptians used to wear. He had golden armbands and he held a staff a little shorter than his height in his right hand. He was very attractive and extremely terrifying. He looked around the house. When his eyes stopped on me, the fear I felt in that moment was enough to make anybody have a heart attack. It was the Holy Spirit and his boldness and his strength that I was taking because it wasn't mine. His black eyes looked momentarily surprised at me, then returned to a non-menacing slight smile. Just kind of like he wasn't fazed. He was kind of enjoying the fact that he was allowed into the house. The Holy Spirit boldness came over me as I stepped forward and announced authoritatively, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, get out. You have no right and you know it. The fallen angel looked at me for a moment, and with slightly more of a smile and a small nod, he acknowledged, and a small nod of acknowledgement, he turned and disappeared out of the door. He was gone in a flash. I ran quickly behind him and closed the door and locked it behind him. I walked shaken back into the living room where I whispered loudly, "Don't open the doors." Okay, so guys, that was where I woke up. And for a few days now, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, has been sharing with me revelation of different parts of the dream. So the black cubes that fell out of the ooze that turned into a portal were actually prisons. And obviously this is one of the prisons that the fallen ones had been imprisoned in after the flood, or during the flood, I'd say, because that's when they were put in the prisons. Yahweh was allowing me to see in the darkness, because there is no way anybody would have been able to see in that darkness. So he was allowing me to see see the things that were happening in the darkness. The fallen one that was standing right next to me was Anubis. His name's actually been running in my head, just randomly, just came into my head. It's been running in my head for about a day. And so I looked it up. I looked up Anubis, and I'm going to show you guys this. This is absolutely insane. So this, I've got this my son's tablet here for you guys to see. This is who I saw. This is exactly, get the light off it, exactly who I saw minus the dog head. That is exactly who I saw. Okay? Except his face, and to the smile, I cannot believe I found this picture. That is exactly what his face looked like. To a T, except obviously his eyes were black and his hair was not that long, but his hair was that exact same color. Exact same color. Cannot believe I found that picture. That is absolutely insane. But that's what he looked like. I mean, the exact description I saw in my dream, and then I find it. It's not the first time Yahweh's done that to me. It's absolutely incredible. Praise Yah, he is awesome. So, I don't believe in the dream that Anubis was actually afraid of me. I don't actually think he was surprised to see me. I don't think it had anything to do with me. I think possibly it had more to do with there were angels in the house with us, and he could see the angels when he entered. And he wasn't gonna do anything because he knew that I had those angels there protecting me as I stepped forward in the authority of Yahweh, in the authority of Yahusha, sorry. And he wasn't prepared to take on an entire army of angels on his own. But it does say something. I mean, if there were more, probably he would have, absolutely. He would have just done his thing and devoured us all, and we would have all been killed immediately. What else have I got? So yeah, I think probably the addressing, the little nod and the smile was probably to them. It wasn't to me. Absolutely not. I'm nobody special. We already know that we are not supposed to open our doors. Okay, guys, I don't know why Yahweh showed it to me in this way, but possibly he's going to give us some sort of grace if something like that does happen. But guys, the best thing is to prevent people from opening doors. Like tape them shut or something. I don't know. Get some bolts. But yeah, if you open the door, you allow them legal access to your home. And definitely the person that opened the door would definitely allow legal access to themselves, more than likely. So, absolutely, do not open the doors. Do not pull back the covers. Don't look at these things. If we didn't have the Holy Spirit within that house with us, within that room, and I didn't see anybody else actually look at Anubis at the time, because I was so focused on him, and in my spirit I was just, everything was focused on him and the door, because in my spirit I was watching the door. But I would say a lot of them were not looking at him. I would say a lot of them were praying. A lot of them had their heads down, praying for their lives. So don't open the doors, guys. Don't be fooled. Don't let anybody in your house do it. I think that's probably all I have to say. It's coming soon. Be prepared. Get your windows covered. Get your candles. Get your food supply. I have heard other trusted sources explain that make food easy. You will not want to be cooking during this time. You'll want to be focusing on prayer. So get your food easy to eat, easy to unwrap or something, like sandwiches or muesli bars, snacks sort of things, but something that's like wholesome, that's going to sort of fill you up a little bit so you're not hungry in, I don't know, half an hour. But also, in saying that, a lot of us will probably choose to fast through most of it, through all of it, probably liquid fasting. I don't think we could last quite that long without liquid, but yeah. Okay guys, my video is gonna die in just a minute, so thank you for watching. Love you all, and I'll see you on the other side. In Yahushua's beautiful kingdom. Love you. Bye.